Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience with my change of schedule tonight. We had a birthday in the house today and a couple other things, and the schedule just got completely messed up, and I was not able to be live at 6:30 like I usually am. So here, as promised, is the video to watch for how to assemble tonight's project layout. I'm going to be using everything exclusively from Inked and Tiled. This is a collection you can find on pages 94, 95 in the annual catalog. You can get the whole collection, which is the stamp set, the punches, the DSP, and this really pretty lagoon ribbon. Or of course you can just buy bits and pieces, whatever suits your fancy. I highly recommend the DSP. It's really pretty color schemes, easy to work with because it's 6x6. Yeah, so that should be it, 94 and 95. Alrighty. So here is a sheet. You can see you get the two punches together. These will layer on each other if you want them to. Otherwise, you can just use them as shapes for backgrounds. I believe also some of these small phrases fit in that little part right there. So kind of a little bit of versatility that you can be doing with these guys right here. And then the Inked and Tiled set itself has a little bit of light and shade to some of the designs. So you kind of get some really pretty effects just by stamping in just one color. So I really like that. And here's a little peek at the DSP. So it's mostly a floral, but there are some, on the back sides, there are some of these other plaid patterns. You've got Calypso Coral, you've got Petal Pink, Pool Party, Lost Lagoon, Crushed Curry, and then I believe it's a white, vanilla, I think white and vanilla, depending on which pattern you're working with for your neutral colors. Very, very cute. And each of these designs you can see mimicked in the stamp set itself. So here's that little blop spot that you see on the back side of these papers. And of course you saw the large flowers and the small flowers all working together in this particular grouping of designer series paper. And there's leaves to go with the leaves. So yeah, nice, lovely, lovely, lovely set of designer series papers. And again, easy to work with because they are 6x6. And remember, there is a DSP sale this month. All the DSPs are the regular designer series papers, not the specialty papers, but the regular ones are on sale for, I believe it was 15% off this month. So I'm going to be featuring a different one each week to try to get you to see a variety of them and decide if any of those really trip your trigger and you really want to have them added to your collection. All right, so let's get started. Here is what we needed for tonight. You want a piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to be using Pool Party. And in that same color, two pieces that are 1 1/8 by 3 1/8, again, Pool Party. Your neutral pieces are 3 3/4 by 5 and a 2-inch circle. I'm using Vanilla. Another piece of cardstock coordinating, that's going to be 1 by 4. So this is Lost Lagoon. And then two pieces of designer series paper that are each 1 by 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You're going to take your 2-inch circle and any stamped images or phrases or anything you brought to decorate that with, go ahead and grab those now. And we are going to add a couple things to our circle. I'm actually going to stamp in Pretty Peacock. It's going to be a little bit darker showing. I think I'm going to like that a little bit better than my straight up Lost Lagoon, because I want to have, I'm going to have some flowers in the background out of Crushed Curry. And I do believe that those will sit a little better on top of the curry if it's just a slightly darker ink. Okay, so I've mounted up my Hello Friend and one of the flowers from that set. I'm going to go ahead and do the phrase first because I want it to be in the center, and then I'm going to work around that with the visuals of the flowers. All right, so there's my Hello Friend. And I'm going to take my curry and ink that guy up. And I'm going to add some flowers around the phrases like that. Okay, so there is my focal point piece. Bring that up a little bit higher for you. So flowers and the Hello Friend, again from Inked and Tiled. Now grab those two strips of designer series paper and those two pieces of cardstock. And as you can probably guess, we're going to mount those on those pieces of cardstock because they're just slightly larger, 1/8 of an inch all around. So you have just a very tiny border behind your DSP. Oop, you know what? I bet I cut that one too short. Okay, we're gonna go with this because I'm on camera right now. So I believe I cut that about 1 inch too short. And this one too is a little bit too wide. You know what? I really was not doing too well when I cut these guys, was I? Okay, so pause for 1 second here. I am going to just rearrange him a little bit and trim off the edge to make it even. And you're just gonna pretend with me that that other one is longer. I tell you, you know, if there isn't a boo-boo, it's not a video by Tracy, right? There's always something. Okay, go ahead and grab that card base. And again, if you want something for the inside, you just take a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 of a neutral color that you can stamp on or write on, and it's gonna go right on the inside for you. Then grab that 3 3/4 by 5 neutral piece. Now, if you don't want to assemble yet, you want to wait and see what else I've done with these pieces, go ahead and do that. So if you want to just wait right now, because you might decide that you want to either add some stamped images to this layer, you might want to emboss it a little bit with an embossing folder, or do something else to it if you want to jazz that up a little bit. All right, so then you are going to take the 1 by 4 coordinating cardstock, and we're going to place that just under the halfway point up to the top. And it's going to go over just a tiny bit because this is a 4 inch and this is 3 3/4. And then you can decide here if you want to use dimensionals or if you want to adhere that straight down. I am going to grab dimensionals because I like dimension. What? Right? Yeah. All right. Like I said, pretend that that pool party piece is a little longer because I miscut it. I don't want to stop and change it now. Alrighty. These two are going to sit side by side. And if you have a pattern that you've cut apart and you want to keep it matching, go ahead. And if you had something else that you wanted to do with that, just that's totally up to you. All right, we're going to lay these two over with just a little space in between, like that. And then again, you can decide if you want to do this straight down or if you want to pop that up on dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some adhesive kind of to the near the edges, because it's going to stick to those pieces. And remember, you have a gap in here that won't necessarily stick to. All right, so there is your very basic design. And like I said, this little neutral piece, that neutral piece is quite plain. And if you want to dress that up with anything at all, that would be really fun to do. So let me show you some of the other ways I jazzed this one up. All right, remember all of the DSPs in here come from the Ink Botanicals collection. So they're all in that packet I showed you before. Okay, now with this one, I used Coral and Pebbled Path. That's one of our new in colors. And I stamped off the coral first before I stamped this piece on there. So here's one of my leaves. I also added it to my circle, and then the Just a Note is in the Pebbled Path again. And you can see, because I stamped down in this corner, I raised up that horizontal piece and did the layout just a little bit different. Alrighty, and on this one, I brought in some of my punches. Those two punches I showed you before, I punched them out of a couple different DSPs that are in this collection. And then here's a third one, all in the crushed curry color. And then I added black as my accent color. And then this is actually a piece of vanilla. So I'm working with two different neutrals. This was stamped in crushed curry. And I also added some crushed curry ink to the gingham ribbon, just to make that look a little more, take out the whiteness there and have it blend in a little bit better. And then this is one of the basic matte dots in black. Alrighty, and then the last one here, I added a lot of embossing. So I used the Twisted Rope embossing folder on both the background piece and the horizontal piece. Now this time you can see I used my neutral as crumb cake. Remember, some of those tans and browns fit really nicely in as a neutral instead of just white or vanilla. So again, my circle is crumb cake, so I did add some of the flowers stamped to it. I have the happy birthday stamped over it. And again, some of those matte dots in the vanilla color. I have two of them sitting here and then a couple more on my pieces itself. All right, let me show you the stepped up version. Similar to what I've done with some of these guys, it has a little more embossing, a couple extra layers. So I used one of the folders in the 3-pack that you get online. It's the Basics 3D embossing folders. It's kind of this like hash print, almost linen maybe look. And then I added a layer of Lost Lagoon under my neutral piece, in addition to my horizontal piece being that Lost Lagoon. And then I took of my sponge dauber and I added a little bit of Lost Lagoon ink around my circle just to make it pop off a little bit more from that background. But again, so this is all very much the same color schemes. I've got my Curry, my Pool Party, and my Lost Lagoon. But of course, with a couple extra step ups, you get to something a little bit different looking. And like I said, I kind of liked the border around the circle because I think it helped pop off from that background. You could also add a second circle behind if that's a little bit larger, because remember that was a 2-inch circle. You could go with like a 2¼ inch circle off the back side there to give that a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Make it stand out a little more. There we go. All right, everybody. Thank you again for waiting for this video. I did actually squeak it in just under midnight. So technically it was still a Make It With Me Monday session. All right. Have a great week, everybody. I will do a recorded video again next week as I'm going to be on a road trip with one of my stamping besties. And we're not coming back until Monday, so I'm not sure exactly the timing of all of that, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. So you'll see another video next week, Monday, so we will be live again on what should be, I believe, the 19th of June. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you live in a couple weeks, and then you can watch another recorded one next week. Take care, everyone.